Will Stranger Things Season 5 rip off Avengers Endgame? What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm talking about how Stranger Things Season 5 has the potential to maybe rip off Avengers Endgame. This has been going around my live streams and comment section for quite a while now, as the two are conclusions to these huge franchises, one being a series of Marvel films, one being the most popular Netflix show of all time. There's differences, but a surprising amount of similarities, and I'm going to talk about how Season 5 of Stranger Things could go the route of ripping off Endgame. But before I get into that, be sure to hit that like button, and of course comment down below if you think Stranger Things will take any inspiration from Endgame. Subscribe and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 100,000 subscribers here on the channel. It means a lot. I am so close to making that final push, so help me get there by hitting that subscribe button. And as always, go show some love to the Unusual Couple podcast for weekly episodes with myself and my girlfriend Cam. And before I get any further, I want to let you guys know that I am rewatching Stranger Things on my Patreon right now, and I'm inviting you guys to come join me. You guys can join my Patreon, link down below, and for $5 a month, you can have access to all the commentary tracks. As of this video dropping, the first 3 episodes are out now, and we're having a blast with it. It's very laid back, we're cracking jokes, we're also theorizing, talking about our experience with Stranger Things, talking about how this scene from Season 1 could come back to light in Season 5. I'm growing the Patreon community over there right now, and I would love to have you guys join me. Your support over there means the world and makes it possible for me to keep making these videos, so consider joining the Patreon. It would mean more than you ever know. Alright, so as I mentioned earlier, it's been a common talking point, especially in my recent live streams, regarding how Avengers Endgame could directly influence the final season of Stranger Things. Do I agree with this? Sort of, and there are some points I think where they could have similar themes and similar moments. I wanted to sort of play into this idea of what if Stranger Things Season 5 ripped off Avengers Endgame. So I think the most noticeable comparison that will end up happening with Season 5 of Stranger Things and Avengers Endgame, aside from the fact that they are, like I said, big conclusions to popular franchises, is the fact that there will likely be a big time jump, the biggest in the history of Stranger Things between seasons in this final season. I've made countless videos and shorts talking about this, but it's all but confirmed we are having a year-plus time jump likely heading into this final season of Stranger Things. Now, what's worth noting is Avengers Endgame has a 5-year time jump, but the similarity here is when it comes to Avengers Endgame, we have about 20 minutes of movie that sort of wrap up the final moments of Avengers Infinity War, and then boom, we have a time jump. And I think we're going to get something similar with Stranger Things Season 5. As we all know, Season 4 ends on that hillside with our gang looking out at the Upside Down sort of rising up from the ground into Hawkins, the two merging into one, setting the stage for the epic final season. Well, I think in Season 5, we're gonna have 20 or so minutes of that first episode, The Crawl, after the cold open with the Will Byers. And we're gonna see the resolution of that aftermath, you know, the military flooding into Hawkins, our characters trying to get themselves gathered, and then I have a feeling they're gonna falsely resolve the tension or think they got rid of the Upside Down, and the Upside Down is just gonna go dormant. Its presence will still be felt, but it's not going to be lingering, it's going to just look gray and dead, essentially. And then boom, we'll have a time jump, much like how Avengers Endgame handled their time jump. Now, I don't think it's going to be 5 years, because obviously our kids would be out of high school at that point, but I do think it's going to take us to at least 1987, potentially even 88 or 89, but the more we've gotten information and seen little things from the set, like a Coca-Cola can or a book, I'm starting to lean more so 1987. Now, that's one big similarity where Stranger Things could rip off Avengers Endgame, but most big franchises have time jumps near the end of a franchise. It's not like Endgame invented the time jump. However, the commonalities between these two, even if they are little, they're going to be directly compared because, like I said, they're two huge conclusions to huge franchises. And the next one involves time as well, and you probably guessed it already, time travel.
We're sending you back to the future!
In Avengers Endgame, the whole middle act of the film features our main Avengers going back in time and gathering the Infinity Stones from different timelines in order to snap everyone back, leading into the third act showdown with Thanos. In Stranger Things Season 5, time travel has not been confirmed, but it's been heavily speculated, and I think that they're gonna go that route. It's almost inevitable in my opinion, not to be on the nose with the Thanos reference there, but I've come to the conclusion that they're probably gonna use the Upside Down to sort of slip through time in a way in order to combat Vecna and his army that he will likely have formed by the end of Season 5. I just think it's likely, the main hint being the fact that the Upside Down is in fact frozen in time on November 6, 1983, the day Will Byers was taken to the Upside Down in the first episode of Stranger Things. So it seems like they would have put that there for a reason. Our main crew is likely going to devise some sort of plan where they use the Upside Down to go back in time and change events or combat Vecna, like I said. So time travel in a sense, but in an unconventional way, whereas with Avengers Avengers, they literally create a device that sends them back in time. They've got their watches and everything. I don't see that happening in Stranger Things. We're not getting a DeLorean. We're not getting wrist watches that are going to allow them to travel back to 1983. If they do anything, it's going to be through the Upside Down. So yes, I think Stranger Things 5 will likely contain time travel, but it will be a lot different than the time travel we're used to seeing in media. So the comparison could still be made to Avengers Endgame. The manner in which they do so is going to be so vastly different that I think it's going to be hard to really compare the two. Now this next one is frankly something I don't want to happen. In Avengers Endgame, in the third act of the film, we see Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor face off against Thanos. It's a 3 versus 1. It's the trinity of our Avengers taking on Thanos, and it's pretty damn epic. Thanos overpowers the 3 of them, but then Cap obviously has the RIPS shield and still stands face to face because, as he loves to say, he can do this all day. So I think of that scene. It's an epic moment leading up to the final battle in Avengers Endgame. And I'm wondering, could Stranger Things take inspiration from this? Could they rip it off? Well, if they wanted to, hell yeah, they could. The Duffers are too original to really rip off anything directly, but again, this whole video is a big ol' hypothetical, so bear with me. If they were to go the route of having 3 characters face off against Vecna prior to a big final battle, who would those characters be? Well, one obviously has to be Eleven. She'd be sort of the Captain America of our trio, and the other 2 spots are up for grabs. Sure, you could throw in a Hopper or a Steve, but those are just humans. They don't have any powers to really pose any threat to Vecna. So I go and I say, someone's probably gonna gain powers. We've theorized Will, we've theorized Max. For the sake of this video, we'll say Will Byers gains powers. We know he has a connection to the Upside Down. We know he has a connection to Vecna. Even if his powers are just playing mind games like he's Professor X from the X-Men films, he's going to provide some supernatural value to the table in this final season. So imagine 11, Will, and one other person going up against Vecna. Now who might that be? For this video, I'm going with 08 or Callie, a character that I have been vocal about not wanting to see return in the final season, but for the sake of this argument, she is one of the few characters we've seen who's enhanced or has powers in the world of Stranger Things, so it would make sense to have her, Eleven, and Will team up to fight Vecna. Now, I do not want to see this. I've actually made a video talking about how this is something I am openly against happening because it just feels very superhero conclusion ripoff, and I don't want that in Stranger Things. For me, what I love about Stranger Things finales is how our human characters, against all odds, think of a plan to take down the main villain. They outsmart them with wits, not with physical abilities, and that's something that I've always been about when it comes to Stranger Things, is rooting for characters in these underdog roles. You know they probably wouldn't, win a direct fight with Vecna, but being able to outsmart Vecna, that is something I want to see, and I hope we see it in the final season, as opposed to this ripoff of Endgame, which, frankly, it would be probably the most direct ripoff of any of the ones I've theorized in this video. If 3 of our characters just teamed up to fight Vecna, and then it was 11 versus Vecna for a bit, and then against all odds, every character comes out of the ashes, and boom, they fight, and somehow all the other characters who were massacred at Hawkins' lab rise up from the dead. I can't even do it with a straight face. It just sounds outlandish, you agree, right? Of the 4 things that could relate to Avengers Endgame, this is the most far-fetched, this is the most ridiculous. Now this final comparison to Avengers Endgame I think will likely happen. As we all know, at the end of Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark snaps, says I am Iron Man, and makes the ultimate sacrifice to eradicate Thanos and his army and save humanity. Again, he pays the ultimate price to defeat the villain. That is something that I think will for sure happen in the final season of Stranger Things, and I've said it week after week, video after video. I think it's going to be 11. Millie Bobby Brown has actually voiced in interviews and over the past few years how she wishes this show would kill more characters. Well, she's the main character. They killed her at the end of season 1. Obviously, she didn't die, she just went to the Upside Down, but she came back in season 2. What better way to wrap up Eleven's character arc than have her use all of her power to kill Vecna, to close all the gates, eradicate the Upside Down, but also she dies with everything. Hawkins, Indiana was flipped upside down upon her arrival. It only makes sense that things can get back to normal with her leaving, or dying in this case. It's dark. I'm not saying I want to see it, I'm just saying I think it's likely to happen. It would make the most sense for her character arc. It would be a very Tony Stark heroic way to go out, and I think it would be fitting for Eleven, who is seemingly the main hero of our story. Now, all 4 of these plot points could happen in Stranger Things Season 5, and the Duffers could execute them all in a way where it's not really directly reminiscent of Avengers Endgame, but I still think that the comparisons will be inevitable, no matter what Stranger Things does, because anytime a big movie franchise or TV show has a finale, it's inevitable inevitable there will be comparisons to the other big thing. In this case, it's Avengers Endgame. We just live in a day and age where the comparisons are endless. It's fun to sort of speculate, oh, I wonder if the Duffers will pull this inspiration from Endgame. In reality, though, they're probably not going to pull anything from Endgame. Time travel exists in dozens of 80s films and just films in general. So Stranger Things using time travel will be paying homage to the 80s films like Terminator, Back to the Future more than anything. Major characters sacrifice themselves all the time in TV and movies, so that's nothing new. And time jumps as well as battles of our main heroes versus a main villain happen frequently. So all of these are just these big picture ideas that Stranger Things could likely use, that Avengers Endgame also used. So I'm kind of just bracing myself for when season 5 drops, people will make those comparisons to Avengers Endgame, when in reality they are vastly different stories. I think it boils down to the execution, and I bet the Duffer Brothers are going about this in a wholly original way. While some of the ideas might be rehashed or things we've seen in other stories, this is Stranger Things. They're going to go about it in a Stranger Things way that clearly feels unique and ties a bow on the show wonderfully. So yeah, this was a fun and different twist on a Stranger Things video. It was cool to sort of reminisce on how great of an ending Endgame was for the MCU, while also looking ahead at how awesome the finale of Stranger Things could be. In fact, I wouldn't mind if they pulled inspiration from Avengers Endgame, because I do think that's how you do a conclusion where you balance the fan service with the epic moments as well as the appropriate character moments that are smaller scale, but make you appreciate their journey so much more. And I think that's what we're going to get in this final season of Stranger Things. But before I get out of here, I want to mention that I am rewatching Stranger Things right now on Patreon, and I'm inviting you guys to come join with me. We're having a blast. The first 3 episode commentary tracks are out right now. You guys pull up the Netflix episode and can sync up and watch along with myself and my girlfriend Cam. We make jokes and theorize and also just reminisce about our journeys with Stranger Things. Your support over there would mean the world. For $5 a month, you guys can join and get access to commentary tracks for Stranger Things, but also other movies and shows. I'm not just doing Stranger Things. Patreon exclusive live Q&A, as well as having your name mentioned at the end of videos. Any support over there means the absolute world and truly does make it possible for me to continue making these videos, so please consider joining the Patreon at the $5 tier. It would mean the world. But that'll do it for this Stranger Things video. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help me reach my goal of 100,000 subscribers here on the channel. It means a lot. I'm inching towards it, so anything means a lot. But that'll do it. And until next time, I'll see you guys on the other side of the Upside Down.